shortly after midnight, Wyoming Police Department dispatched officers to Durrell Avenue for a burglary in progress. When the officers arrived, they encountered two individuals in the rear of an apartment building, later identified as Joe Frasure Jr., date of birth June 3, 1994, and his father Joseph Frasure Sr., date of birth May 27, 1970. Frasure Sr. was standing on the driveway near a gray minivan. The son, Frasure Jr., was behind the wheel of a minivan when the officers approached the rear of the building. Officers shouted multiple commands to both Frasures to stop, put their hands in the air, exit the vehicle, and get on the ground. Frasure Jr. failed to comply with any command. Frasure Jr., in an attempt to get away, pulled his vehicle in reverse, accelerated, and crashed into a tree. The officers continued to shout commands for him to stop and get out of the car. Frasure Jr. still remained non-compliant. He put the car in drive, quickly accelerated, and drove his vehicle straight at the officers. After nearly striking one officer, Frasure then steered his vehicle in the direction of the other two officers. The officers continued to shout commands to stop while barely escaping danger of being struck and potentially killed. In an act of self-defense, both officers discharged their service weapons, approximately 3 to 4 rounds in total at the suspect as the vehicle sped within feet of them. Several shots struck the vehicle, and at least one shot struck Frasure. The vehicle then crashed into the side of the apartment building. Meanwhile, Frasure Sr. fled on foot and was apprehended several blocks away. Immediately following the crash, the officers began life-saving measures on Frasure Jr. until paramedics arrived and then transported him to University of Cincinnati Medical Center. Frasure Jr. succumbed to his injuries on January 31st of 2023. At the time of the offense, Frasure Jr. was on probation in Indiana for a felony battery, victim under the age of 14, and had an active probation violation warrant. He also was on parole in Kentucky for manufacturing methamphetamine and had an active parole violation for absconding. At the time of the offense, Frasure Sr. had a warrant for his arrest relating to a misdemeanor theft charge from December of 2022. These officers should be commended for their bravery. What happened that night is a testament to their strength and their training. There is no doubt that these officers reasonably feared for their lives, which is why they will not be charged. I'd like to now have the video played so that you can see the body-worn camera.
Was the caller able to describe which apartment they were trying to break into?
hands in the air. Hey, stop! 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 Get out of the car now! Get out! Get out of the fucking car now! Get out of the car! We got people taking off, silver van, one at gunpoint. Stop! There's more cars. Run back up! Run back up! What? Stop! Shots fired! Hey, back up! Back up! Back up! Back up! Back up! Back up! Ryan, bail! 7933. I need more cars. Hey, stop! Stop! Pick up Ryan, back up, Ryan, back up, Ryan! Back up, Ryan!
Do you guys want us to play that part again? Just the shooting part? Are you good? Okay, great.
Okay. All right. All right, at this time, are there any questions?
Has the family seen this video? Have they seen it?
The video was released to their attorneys. Mr. Ehrenstein, who's in the room, received it shortly before the press conference began. So they'll have the videos in total.
They were informed of the decision that charges were not going to be filed in the case.
The decision was not get provided to them in advance.
So they're learning right now that charges.
That's correct.
Yeah, can you talk us through this just a little bit about what we're seeing, because it's a little hard when you see three different angles, and it's a little hard to tell. Can you give us some specifics on where the officers were in the most danger?
Sure. So, first of all, it's dark. It's a very confined space. When I went to the scene, you'll see how confined that is. It's almost like a funnel coming out the adjacent driveway to the apartment building that's next to the building that they were concerned about. The officer, you see one of the officers in front of the car when the car is backed up into the tree line. He's ordering him to get out of the car, to stop the vehicle, get out of the car. He's able to, as it accelerates forward, get out of the way. There's room there for him to move. The other officers start going to the other direction of next door, the building next door. And at that point, the car's coming straight at one of the officers. He's able to get off to one side of the driveway. The third officer is on the inside of that driveway with the wall of the building that he eventually crashes into on the other side. The vehicle was speeding directly at both of them at one point, and then shots were fired as the vehicle was coming in close. And I think it's on the sheriff's video where they slowed it down. I don't know if we still have that, if we have that available. Okay. The headlights of the one officer that is running has those headlights coming straight at him on the body-worn camera, so you can see that it's coming in his direction. Whether he was driving and intentionally to run the officers over, or whether he was trying to flee, we will never know that answer for sure. But what we do know is that the officers' lives were threatened, and they felt in danger.
Do you think their lives were saved because they opened fire?
I do.
It's difficult to tell that he's driving at them, just based on what I saw. It clearly looks like he's driving in that direction, and they happen to be there. Does that matter?
What matters, first of all, I believe in the one of the videos, you can tell from the body-worn camera, when you slow it down, the officer that's coming off the middle of that driveway is running back towards the adjacent building in their driveway. So I do have a photograph. You can see he did not go out the driveway of the building in which they intended, that they were inside of, I think, at one point. There's garbage cans, there's a low retaining wall. He jumps that retaining wall, a small embankment that goes up and goes directly at the second officer that's at the scene. He then turns and then was able to shoot. The other officer that's in the corner of the building is able to shoot because he's concerned as well. You can't tell if he's coming at the officers or he's trying to get out that driveway.
You know what you're saying is that doesn't matter.
It does not matter. It's the officers, were they in a life-threatening and dangerous situation? And I believe they were.
And it matters if they felt like they were in a life-threatening situation.
That's exactly it. The focus of the inquiry were their actions reasonable that they believed their life was in danger?
And how many times did they hit Mr. Frasure, and where did they hit him?
I don't know exactly the answer. I do know that we have at least one shot striking, and 3 shots struck the vehicle. That's what I do know. And we believe, without having the actual autopsy report, we have not received that yet, is from the side. It's going from side to side on his head.
Because the family members had said he was shot in the back of the head. Is there any evidence of that?
Not that I'm aware of.
How did you assess that the bullets fired was the right response and not a less lethal method, like a taser?
We have a speeding vehicle charging at you. You have a split second to make a decision. It's a tense situation. It's rapidly evolving, and so lethal force was warranted. That vehicle could have, if it ran over the officers, caused their death. So lethal force was appropriately used here.
Now, talking about Frasure Sr., the father, is he charged with anything? Were they in the wrong for being there?
The investigation regarding Frasure Sr. has not been completed. My focus of the inquiry is really on the shooting and the officers' actions.
Where was the vehicle when the officers fired their shots? Was the vehicle in front of them, coming
No.
toward them? Was it on the side? Had it just passed them? Can you talk about that?
The vehicle is definitely coming towards them, directly towards them. And specifically, one officer was the closest in danger, absolutely. You saw in the
An officer who fired the shots?
again, I can't answer, I don't have that information.
They were authorized to be there. It was a grandmother's house, but the officers didn't know that. Can you go through that situation of how the officers did not know?
Well, there was a neighbor that called for help because they believed that vacant building, somebody was burglarizing the building. It's my understanding also that no one had permission to be in that building. The Board of Health in Wyoming, the city of Wyoming, had prevented anyone to be even residing in that building. So we don't really know the real purpose why anyone was inside that building. It could have been if they were squatting, were they moving things? We have no idea.
So you said not residing in it, but could they go into that building and get stuff out?
During the daytime only. They were permitted during the daytime only, not in the evening. There were other occupants inside the apartment, that's my understanding. It was a sister, 2 children, and her boyfriend. And it's also my understanding they have no idea why Frasure Jr. came to the building at all, in one of the statements by the witnesses.
The Frasers weren't armed, or were they?
There was no weapons found or recovered.
Do we know what are we going to learn about the officers, or will you be identifying them? Is there any implications for them? Do they just take a certain amount of time off? Do they get counseling? What happened?
Well, definitely, they've been through a traumatic event, and typically it's my understanding that the officers have some type of counseling, and that, did you want to make any comment regarding that?
I'm Chief Brooke Brady with the Wyoming Police Department. In regards to your question, yes, the officers will be receiving counseling. They are currently on paid administrative leave until some of those steps occur.
How many officers total?
There were 3 involved at the scene.
How many fired shots?
At this time, I would defer that to the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. They were the one doing the investigation, and that will be released.
Always a traumatic experience when something like this happens. Can you want to talk about the officers' frame of mind and how they're doing?
For the current circumstances, they are doing the best they can be. They were put in a very dangerous situation, and I think they acted appropriately under those circumstances.
When's the last time a Wyoming police officer fired a weapon at someone?
It has been decades. I would have to go back and get that record for you at a later time because I don't know off the top of my head. Correct.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Is there a policy to stop the car at all costs kind of thing, or, why not back away?
As you could see from the video, our officers made every attempt to back away. They are in a very confined space. It's hard to see on the video, but they are between two apartment buildings, and Mr. Frasure drove up an embankment at an erratic rate towards the officers. They had little area that they could move to. So I am strongly confident that they did everything they could and acted appropriately, given the circumstances.
The officers' weapons were already drawn. It's a little hard to tell in the dark, but they had their weapons already drawn when they were at this situation.
That's correct.
And that's something that would be typically
You
what
have-
they do if they're going to a burglary.
Absolutely. I mean, you have a dangerous situation. It's dark. You've got two unknown individuals. You have no idea why they are there. They don't comply with commands. In fact, they are taking actions to put other people in danger, themselves or the officers in danger. So absolutely, having the weapons drawn. And they were even concerned even after the vehicle crash, whether or not the suspect was waiting for them to approach to be able to use weapons. They have no idea. That's the whole point of giving commands about showing your hands.
Is there a message to the Frasure family who were not involved in this?
Well, anytime there's a tragic loss of life, there's great sorrow, and I'm sure that their family is grieving. So obviously our thoughts are with them. They've lost a loved one. But this was a situation that easily could have been avoided. All they had to do was stop, comply, and explain. I'm here. This is my grandmother's apartment. We're here to help my sister, whatever it may be. But the officers that night, when they made those decisions in that situation, did not know any of that information. And they did not know who those two individuals were, and they did not know whether or not they were armed or dangerous. But by that behavior of Frasure Jr., he clearly was dangerous and put those officers' lives in danger. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas, quick question. Why did the prosecutor's office decide to not prosecute Joe Mixon?
That's a city case, so I had no involvement with that. And unfortunately, I haven't really followed the news on it, other than seeing the headline that the city is dismissing the charge. That's all I know.
You all have not communicated at all with the city about the case?
No, it's not my jurisdiction. It's a city misdemeanor, so the city prosecutor's office would handle that and make that decision. And I don't know the details involved. There's many different hypothetical situations why that charge is being dismissed, so I don't know. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amy will take care of everything else for you. Appreciate it.
Are you gonna send us a link?
Yeah, so I will